I am done with the X-Men. Let's talk about it. All right, we've got a big one today. So, after more than a decade of following the X-Men line month to month, I think I'm finally stepping away. No more trying to keep up with every X-Men book at Marvel. I just kind of want to walk you through why this is the right decision for me at the time and maybe for some of you as well. So what's going on now? Um, After sticking with mutant books since 2012, when I started reading pretty much very consistently comic books, like I set a pull list. I had my local shops, and then since then I've just developed even more and more through good runs, not so good runs. Why am I making this choice now? Well, with the Age of Revelation launching, this is Marvel's latest reboot, reset for the line. This feels like the perfect time to kind of just make a clean break. Instead of diving head into another cycle, I think I'd rather step back and rethink how I approach the Marvel comic books for the X-Men line. Now, what are the big issues? I think we're gonna get into all this. So, first of all, the reboots. The Krakoan age had a huge impact. Love it or hate it, it was a different idea, different take. But instead of building on all that momentum, Marvel it came to a hard stop, hit the reset button once again, and then with every reboot, it just gets a little bit harder to stay kind of emotionally invested and also just financially invested. Like there's a lot of comic books, especially from the X Men line. So why commit to that status quo when I know that another reset it's right on the horizon? Like I've seen what this Age of Revelation event or line is. It's kind of promising, and it really feels like a stopgap between this and their next thing. I think there's been a lot of inconsistency since Krakoa, and I don't mean in the quality of the books. I think the books overall, they've had great creative teams. They've explored interesting things, but the inconsistency to me is that the whole line itself just feels very scattered. Some books shine, but everything else is very disconnected, and it's really tough to commit when it's even very much unplugged from the rest of the Marvel universe. So going from title to title, it just feels like I'm reading cool individual stories, but never a more whole, united, cohesive world. And let's be real, there are just too many X-Men titles. It is overwhelming. Instead of being like fun to keep track of everything, it almost feels like I'm doing homework and I'm doing a chore. And I don't think overall comics should feel like an obligation, right? Uh, you know, and it also feels like it's within its own little bubble. The X-Men have been off in their own corner of the Marvel universe for years now. Like there's still some really cool stuff, and like I said, there's a lot of very cool stories. But this new relaunch just feels very disconnected from the larger Marvel world. They're not really interacting in all the ways that they had in the past. Once the Krakoan age ended, it feels like both because of the storyline calls for it, but also just the decision to move the X-Men off to the side, off to their own adventures. Even the teams themselves are kind of being dismantled, so like that some characters can go have their own stories. So yeah, it just doesn't feel as cool. Now, before anyone panics, this doesn't mean that I'm cutting completely out of the X-Men because of this channel. I'm still gonna check out number one issues because I want to give you all my thoughts on these new titles, and then of course let you know what make reviews, let you know whether these things are worth your time, your money, what or at least give you my opinion on this. I do feel like hopefully a lot of you that view my videos, you get something out of it, especially like is it a comic book worth picking up? For the most part, the videos on this channel focus on things that I'm enjoying and that I recommend, but there are a few times that I'm a bit more critical, or maybe that I do give you a little bit of advice on maybe holding off. So if a book really grabs me on the first issue, or maybe it's a creative team that I love, maybe it's a concept that just really clicks with me or a character. Like I'll always be following characters like Magic and Jubilee and Psylocke. Like those are just some of my favorite characters. Wolverine's always good to check and check in on. So I'll stick with it, but that's gonna be based really on my genuine excitement, really not covering a lot of stuff for the channel outside of the number one issues. Now, that in a way just feels like I'm really kind of following what I want to follow instead of just the obligation of following the X-Men line, right? There was a point where I was buying every X-Men book, and I was enjoying it, and that was really cool. But then after a while, when the reboot happened after Krakoa, I wanted to buy every X-Men book, and I did for the first few times. But then it started like I just started stopping every once in a while, right? Remove them off my pull list. So now a lot of the stuff that I will read for this will probably happen through Marvel Unlimited. It is the easiest way to dip in, check the temperature, sample what looks interesting, and then I'll decide if it's worth owning. This means that I will probably miss out on a lot of, variants and stuff like that. But if I do love something, I'll go grab the trade. I'll go grab a collection, right? It doesn't need to be a hook for every single monthly issue anymore. Also, this will allow, like, I'm not committed to buying, like, 10, 15 extra books a week that maybe I'm not even enjoying. So here's the real point, and here's kind of what I'm trying to get at. There are just too many great comic books out there to get bogged down by one line. DC Comics is doing amazing stuff with the All In line and the Absolute stuff. Even Marvel itself has great stuff with the Ultimate line, and there's a few titles that I really, really enjoy, including their big summer event. Uh, Image, Boom, Dark Horse, all these other indie publishers. IDW has so much cool stuff going on with the Turtles and Godzilla. There's some incredible storytelling happening. There's some really cool anthologies from like EC Comics and the Twilight Zone. There's just so many other comic books that why not put my time, my effort, my money towards comic books that really excite me and that I really want to pick up on a weekly basis. This is a big adjustment. I've been reading the X-Men line since 2012 when I started reading comics on a regular basis. That is over a decade. And letting go of that routine, like, it was a tough decision. But honestly, it feels kind of like freeing. Now I can focus on comics that really bring me joy, that really I want to check out instead of just kind of keeping up with the habit. So here's my plan going forward, especially if you're a viewer of the channel. This is probably the most important part for you. I'll still cover number ones for Marvel. I usually cover all number ones anyways, just because those are great ways to check in what's going on, and then also allow the viewers and then hopefully readers to see what the new thing is from Marvel. I'll spotlight runs that impress me. If something's really good, maybe I'll do a whole video when the arc is completed or when the trade collection comes out. But I'm not chaining myself to the X-Men line anymore. I'm moving on to read what I want to read. I want to read a lot of the other stuff, and I think a lot of the comic fans can probably relate to that. Now, I want to hear from you. Are you still following the entire X-Men line? Do you have any standouts, any favorites, maybe something that I even missed? Are you feeling some kind of burnout on any kind of series or property? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk about it. So, thank you for watching. And if you enjoy these types of conversations about comic books, do not forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Do not miss out on all these future reviews. So, thank you for watching, everyone, and please take care. Bye bye.